turn-based RPG based off of the Dungeons and Dragons universe is the simplest version of that I can give. Yeah. Good shit. Good shit. That might be the one other game I pay for this year. That might be the one other game I play that I buy this year, like just outright buy with money. So there's actually a bit of controversy recently because some indie devs as well as third-party AAA devs were saying that customers or consumers should not experience Baldur's Gate 3 and believe that should be the standard at which all RPGs should be measured to, because that's not realistic and you shouldn't expect people to make games that good. Essentially is what they were saying. I was like, what the fuck? They didn't say it like that, but essentially that's what they were saying. They're like, let us half-ass it. Let us not be that good. It's wild. No, seriously. Yeah. Hold on. Let me find this. Yeah. Um, Okay, let's pull this up. We're gonna swap screens really quick, guys. I want to talk to this. This is wild shit right here. I couldn't believe this. Okay. Make sure this shit pops up right. Alright, we got it up. Okay. Title, why devs consider Baldur's Gate 3 Anomaly not new standard for RPG genre. It's Rockstar level nonsense for scope. So it's getting ready to launch in August and September for PC and then PS5. And some developers, as they put it here, are urging players not to rate all other games in the genre by such a high standard, saying that the studio has a unique combination of experience and resources. I don't think having resources is unique, and I don't think being good at making RPG games, so making more RPG games is unique. If you want to make an RPG game, get people who are going to make a good RPG game. That's not unique, that's just good business. Anyways, I digress. So, apparently there was a Twitter thread by a head developer of a smaller studio that's developing apparently a Max Payne-like shooter and did something else. And he said, Baldur's Gate 3 shouldn't be considered the norm. It's had a long development cycle. It started development back in 2017. The company's previous two games, Divinity Original Sin and Divinity Original Sin 2, gave them tons of technical institutional RPG knowledge to draw from. Duh, that's how you run a game studio. You build games and then you use that experience to build the next games. They've had a 3-year early access period on Steam that has provided the company with community feedback as well as cash flow. That's a fair point. But if you weren't developing a good game, you couldn't do that probably. A huge team of over 400 developers across 7 offices. I'm sorry, but any company making a big budget RPG is probably going to be somewhere in that range. And licensed for one of the largest entertainment IPs, Dungeons and Dragons. So most of those things I don't consider to be valid arguments, because basically the guy's just going like, accept it if we make a shittier game because, like, you know, these reasons. Like, they're saying that Baldur's Gate 3 raises the standard to a level that most people in the genre can't hit. So either make a smaller scale project to a high standard, or raise your standard and build your company accordingly. Doesn't that make sense, guys? Like, come on. So he tries to say it's an anomaly and that having players expect this level of game could kill an entire group of studios when they don't make one good enough. Then make a better game. Anyways, just wild, right? Duke, you don't see why more companies don't do early access stuff like that and let players get in on. I agree, Duke. I agree. Yeah, you get feedback, you get cash flow, win-win, the game gets better, you have cash to keep making it. Yeah, no, if that's true, they shouldn't be making games, 100%. That's what should happen. You make a shitty game, your company should go out of business. Like, how does this not make sense? Um, so Grimlore Games, I think that's a smaller game. Their senior narrative designer noted that, well, she expects Baldur's Gate 3 to be a once-in-a-lifetime RPG. She hopes no one expects a 10, 20, or 40-person team to make one. That's reasonable. I don't think any of us would expect that. We'd expect a smaller scale project from a company that size. But here's the problem with that. Consumers don't know the size of the team making the product, right? We don't know how much money's gone into it. We don't know how much experience the teams have, the companies have with that type of game. We know the company's making a game. We want it to be good, right? Like, that makes sense. So if they want us to not expect that, then they should cage and market their game to appeal based off of the scope their company can handle. And then they should not try to make a game of that scale. They should try to make a game at a different scale. You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense? Am I crazy? So seeing companies like post this shit is just wild to me. Like this one, the guy below that commented, the guy who started the whole thing. Like a lot of people, I'm deeply excited about what the lovely folks at Larian have accomplished with Baldur's Gate 3, but I want to gently, preemptively push back against players taking that excitement and using it to apply criticism or a raised standard to RPGs going forward. Raised standard. You mean a new standard that you should try to hit if your studio is capable of doing so. Or you should make sure to cage customers' expectations that that's not what you're producing. Also shouldn't be pricing at that scale. True, Duke, true. Yeah. You shouldn't be doing well, so here's the thing that's interesting with Larian Studios and Baldur's Gate 3. The early access has lasted 3 years. If you bought into early access, you paid full price for the game, but you get the game when it's full release. You've already paid for it. That's like basically prepaying to test out part of the game, provide feedback so the rest of the game can be developed better, and then everyone else who buys the game gets a better game experience once it comes out. But it's okay to do a smaller scale, simpler game for 20 or 30 bucks. I think a lot of companies feel like they can't do that though. I don't know why. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Anyways, it's just wild. Yeah, here, this one. Conditions under which Baldur's Gate 3 were made are atypical. This, the foundation set and the funding to build things on your own terms is invaluable. If that's atypical, that's a problem. Like, I don't get it. Oh, here you go, about Baldur's Gate 2. Cardiac and I have talked about this one before, right? This is basically what Baldur's Gate 2 did. They spent a long time building out an engine and getting a team ready to produce. They crunched out a game for 2 years and they made one of the best RPGs ever. Good, good, good comment, Felipe Pepe. 17 companions, each with their own quests, 4 romances, tons of side quests. Like, one of the best games ever. They planned right, they funded right, they built right, they created an awesome game that people loved. Like, isn't that what a game developer should be doing? Clearly, if the game is this good, it should become typical yes, yeah, that's my opinion, Duke. Yeah. Oh, this one hurts right here. This one might hurt, guys. Diablo 4 senior designer. Agreed. So Chris Balzer, Diablo 4 senior designer. Absolutely right. Even if you look at one of the touchstones, Ultima 7, that's a game that had 12 years of prior games feeding into it. If we were to look at this as a new benchmark, we would need to then focus on creating conditions. Yes. Yes, exactly. That is literally Diablo. Yes, Duke. He says people too often only look at the fruits of labor and not the labor itself. And Destiny, yeah, Duke, yeah, right? You could argue Diablo 4 should be even better than it is based off of the past Diablos. Like, they should have used more of the prior experience almost, you could say. But this bothers me a little bit. People too often only look at the fruits of the labor and not the labor itself. As a consumer who pays money for a game, is that consumer expected to care about the effort put into the game or the end product of how good it is? When we go to a movie, do we care about how hard it was for actors to act to make the movie? Or do we care if the movie's enjoyable to watch and the story is good or the um, costumes are good and the acting is good? If I read a book and the book sucks, do I care how hard it was for the person to write it? No, I just don't want to read it because it sucks. Games aren't different. They're a medium of entertainment. So this idea that people only look at the fruits of labor, not the labor itself. I don't care about the labor itself. I mean, I care in that it was hard work, and I appreciate the hard work. But if the game sucks, I still don't want to play it, even if you worked hard on it. You know what? Like, is that off base? Is that completely off base? That kind of threw me off a little bit. As I read that first and second time, I was like, what the fuck? You know? Not that I'm saying the labor is not worth it, but like, if you put in a lot of work in it, the end product sucks. I don't want the end product. No matter how hard you worked on it. Like, ugh. Man. Yep, I remember the early access starting in October 2020. Yeah. Players could play Act 1, and then there was 3 years of listening to community feedback and improving the game. Full version comes out August 3rd, and for PS5 it comes out in September. You know what? We're gonna watch the teaser. We're talking about fucking Baldur's Gate. Duke, you said you don't have any Baldur's Gate experience, right? You have no experience with Baldur's Gate. Yeah, Cardiac and I did Baldur's Gate 2 a couple times. Baldur's Gate 3 release trailer. I actually haven't seen this yet. So, let's do it. Let's fucking do it. I have not seen this. I saw the one back when they announced it, but I haven't seen this release trailer. You can get an idea of the vibe of Baldur's Gate. Oh wait, hold on. Before we start this, let me pause the music. Yeah, Puma.
Few mortals ever glimpse what you're about to see. But don't be alarmed. I'm here with you. Now, open your eyes.
Master, you are the chosen one.
The Destiny fish thing. That's not what I was expecting from a release trailer.
This is the new.
Hold on, let's go back. I want to see what other trailers we got. Official 4K trailer. Launch month trailer. Let's check this out. Game Awards 2022. Let's see what this is about. What is this?
Tell me, why have you come here? We must all cure ourselves of the entire cult of the Absolute. I've traced people like you. People with parasites in their brains. All the way here from Baldurs Gate. You may just be the godsend we've been praying for.
You're the same as me. You have a mind flare tadpole in your brain. Let's try to find a solution together, before it's too late.
There's a gust of weave about you, but it's a mere breeze. I need a tempest.
Who am I? Your only chance of survival.
You want to play the hero so badly? Fine. Let's make this interesting.
We fight, we die, and we just hope that when our time comes, there is someone else to take our place.
My, this place is fun.
Yes.
There's someone I want you to meet. A friend who sees the world in simple terms. Not just a friend. A legend.
Wait, is it? It is. Yo.
He's not the kind
Cardiac,
of man
are
who
you
takes
there right
kindly
now?
to captivity. The cult captured him. I almost feel sorry for them.
It's Mishka. Isn't it Mishka?